father's parents.
So they would have been your Donegal grand.
Yes,
And they would have been McLaughlin's.
McLaughlin's, right. So that there was several first cousins have that picture now, and then my first cousin Sarah that lives there, she had 11 children. They all have the picture.
Oh,
she told me one time.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
So, in the book that you compiled, what kind of stories did you write?
Well, about the one I told you about my trip, planning to get there, and then the trip there. And I don't know if you want to hear these stories. I went to my cousin Andy's the first night, and this fellow that gave me how to go and all the directions is, and I'll be prepared to eat a lot of potatoes. So I got to my uncle's, and she put 10 pounds of potatoes in this pot, and there was 4 of us for dinner. So I said, well, I guess if I have to eat these potatoes, I'll eat them, So everybody had 4 potatoes. Then she cut some up, and she put the leftover gravy, gave it to the dog, and she had to cut a couple and gave it to the cat, and she gave the rest to the chickens. Well, they didn't have cat food, dog food, or chicken food. And so I said to my uncle, well, how many pounds of potatoes do you store for the winter? He says, pounds. He said, a ton. Or I don't know if he said a ton, but he took me out and showed me. In fact, it was the whole barn was full of potatoes. They ate potatoes every night. Yeah. And they'd have, and they had wonderful desserts. Some little small amount of meat, the potatoes, and some vegetable, and really delicious jellos and desserts and puddings, But they ate very simple, but very good, yeah. And then another one is another funny story. Most of my cousins, they're what they call, for crying out loud, when they make their confirmation, they swear they will never drink, because that was a part of the church's idea to curb some of the Irish drinking.
Yes, pioneers.
Pioneers. So most of my cousins are pioneers, but then my 2 aunts and I, we went to visit a cousin of mine, and so he said, I think I have a bottle upstairs. He said, I haven't drank in 25 years, but he said, I think I have some whiskey upstairs under my bed. Well, and he come down and he gave my Aunt Sarah a glass like that of straight whiskey, and he gave my Aunt Sarah a glass like that and a glass of that to me, Well, the aunt, of course, they did take a drink, but they couldn't drink. So the one was sitting by the plants, and she took a little sip and put it in the plant, and then the other one was by the kitchen sink, and she put that, and of course I'm the guest, I'm next to the stove. I put mine on top of the peat. Well, the next day my aunt said, do you know what happened at Patty McDade's house last night? I said, no. He put some peat in the stove, and the stove blew up and burned his house down. Well, I thought I was going to die. She was teasing me. She scared me to death.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, well the Irish have great senses of humor. Anyway, it's just they have wonderful senses of humor. They can come up with she scared me so bad. Yeah.
When you went back in 77, did anybody go with you that time?
No.
No?
My one cousin of mine, she said she was going to go with me all along, and then it was time to go, and she didn't go.
Yeah.
No, she backed out, and I just had said I was going to go back again, so no, I went by myself. Yeah. Sometimes I think, I don't know how I did that. Kind of brave, but maybe not much common sense about the size of it. But I really, that was one of the best thing I ever did for myself, was go to make those visits. And I still hear, I hear from some, but there's 3 that, especially one, she called me once a month, and the other one will call maybe every couple of months, and they live in Carindana. And then one cousin in Castletown, or in our groom there. She passed away, but her son lives there. One son, John Joe O'Sullivan, and his wife Peggy Green, and they run. Her brothers run the fish processing
plant
right there in Castletown.
Really?
And I tell you, and they're much demand for their fish because Irish is the cleanest water in the world. They have no.
They have a thriving business, I'd say, do they?
They do, because they have, no pollution there from plants or this or that or other. It's very, very clean water, and they really do have very demand for their fish.
When you were in Castletown Bear, did you go out to the island?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I went, just up to the cousins, and then and we went and stayed with her, and went up to the cemetery, which is and where the grandparents are buried. And this is another kind of funny story. Going up, we were going up to the cemetery, and then my cousin said, "Oh, stop the car," and there was a fellow on the road there, and she said, "This is Katie Leahy's daughter from Butte visiting us." And he says, "Get out of that car, and let me look at your legs. Your mother had the prettiest little legs." Yeah, so it's called the Kilcatherine Cemetery there.
Yes.
But I have a picture of my mother, what's left of my mother's old rock home, and then things like that. Yeah. And I would have loved to went back and stayed a month. In the house actually is vacant at the time because my uncle had moved in with my first cousin. I thought, I would love to come here and stay just a month, but it was impossible. Yeah.
So you married a Casagranda.
Right.
It's not an Irish name.
No, Italian.
Italian.
Yeah. There's a lot of Irish marry Italian, it seems like. Yeah. Right.
And in what year did you get married?
48.
48.
Mm-hmm.
What did your husband do?
Well, he had several different jobs through the years, but his last job, he sold mobile homes. So.
And did you work outside the home?
Very little. I said I mostly stayed home. I had the six children.
You had plenty of work to do in the home.
I did. All the happiest days of my life. I always was a homemaker and a mother, and so I waited table some, and I bartended some. Yeah, but part-time, I never, really worked 40 hours a week. Now that it's time to wish I had a pension, I should have did things different. It's okay, though.
There's no ideal solution to that, though. You got to spend that time
I have
with your children.
I have no complaints. Like I said, my mother taught me good money management. I said, if the water bill, and you come home from school that day, you turned right around and walked back downtown and paid her water bill. Or if the power bill come that day, you turned right around and walked back down and paid her. She charged the groceries, and then on every Saturday, Dad got paid, or Friday night and Saturday, down to the grocery store to pay the grocery bill for the week. Yeah, she was very, and my father was very, never wanted to owe anybody anyway. Always pay their way. Yeah. Right.
No credit cards?
Huh?
No credit
Not
cards?
in those days. No, not. I think Mom bought furniture on time, from Shiners maybe, and paid a monthly payment or something. But no credit cards. No.
And of your children, Rita, did you instill, did they have much of a sense of their Irish heritage, do you think?
Oh, not really. My one son, God, I think he was all Italian, all Italian food and talk Italian, and he sold Italian wine, and he was a wine salesman. But kids don't seem to. I don't know. They have a different way of looking at things. Life's too busy with all other things. I don't know. It seems to me.
Yeah.
My one daughter always said that she'd like to go to Ireland with me, but I would probably not make another trip. And then my one son too, he would fit in wonderful if he ever went, because I've had Irish relatives visit here, and he's been really entertaining and really good to them. Yeah, and I've had Irish people come here 3 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Were they your cousins?
Cousins, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Were they the Donegal cousins or the Cork cousins?
Donegal, I really just have, I only had one cousin in Cork, see. All of my mother's family came to Butte, except then one sister went back home to Ireland. And then one brother went to New York, I think, became a policeman. And then 2 of her brothers died, and her Aunt Nell moved to California, and her sister Annie died. My mother was left without any family here after, when she was raising the family. They had all moved away. And so she was stuck with my father's family to take care of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I just have one cousin, John Joe O'Sullivan, and Peggy there in Castletown. And Peggy has called me, and she's always saying they're going to come, but she never has. No.
So when your cousins came out from Donegal, what did they think of Butte?
Oh, they love Butte. I mean, absolutely love Butte. And of course, the first place you go is the cemeteries. Visit the graves not once but twice. And they did. And they wanted to see where their uncles came from. But my one cousin was born in Butte. Sarah B. was born in 1913 in Butte. Her mother died in childbirth in Butte. Oh. And my Aunt Cassie came from Carindana in 1914, clear to Butte, and got this baby and took it back, and my grandma raised it. Now that took courage.
My goodness.
Now Sarah B. was, she always wanted to come to Butte to visit her mother's grave all of her life. So she was 88, and her son told her, "This is your last chance. I'll take you to Butte if you want to go." And so then they came to Butte, and she could visit her mother's grave.
Oh,
yeah.
At 88.
She's 90. She was born in 13. I think she's 97 now. She had the Irish sense of humor and just funny and laugh and just, but that was quite emotional. Her one son from Ireland brought her, and then her daughter that lives in Boston and son-in-law came too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So that was, and that's another story. Well, when she died in 1913, there was nobody here, and she was supposed to be buried at Old St. Patrick's Cemetery. Mm-hmm. So I went up and found out where her grave was. Well, there was nothing there, not even a marker, nothing. It was just, and so then I went out to the cemetery and asked them to make me a little marker, how they do before you put a headstone on, and I raked and cleaned it. Well, then I thought she had a sister live in Butte. Her mother had a sister live in Butte all these years, so I thought I'll look up her mother's obituary and see if there may be some relation of her aunt's still alive. Well, sure enough, I found a granddaughter in Butte of her aunt.
Right.
And so I called her and I said, "Would you like to meet your second cousin from Ireland?" And she said, "What's her name?" And I said, "Well, Sarah B. McLaughlin was her name." Well, she said, "There's somebody buried in my grandmother's plot by the name of Sarah B. McLaughlin." And she said, "I always wondered who she was." Well, her sister had moved her from St. Patrick's Cemetery to Holy Cross and bought her a beautiful headstone in later years. But anyway, I always said, an angel told me to look up that obituary, and no one will ever tell me anything different.
Yeah.
Because I would have never found that out. Never. So, and then she's buried next to her sister, and she has a really nice headstone.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so that was another trip.
So your cousin Sarah B. was an infant when she left?
She was just probably not a year old.
And what about her father?
He had a terrible silicosis, and he he was a single miner, he just couldn't take care of her.
Yeah.
You know, and so then he left Butte and left the mines and went to California, and so she had, you know, kind of, I know he might have sent home to his mother or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
He died quite young too, he had the silicosis.
Yeah.
So he just couldn't raise a baby. Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
And then my other cousin, Mary, finally came to Butte, and she wanted to come, and her 2 daughters and a granddaughter coming from Ireland, and her 4 children that live in New York came with her, so all 9 and the mother came to Butte.
That must have been a party.
Yes, it was. And then the other cousin, her son bought her and her husband a trip to Butte for the 25th anniversary. And so that was and then they brought my cousin Bridget with them, and her brother and his wife. So they came to Butte, and they had a great time. Yeah, they did. I said they were just fun and enjoyed. My cousin Sarah B. that came, she'd never had a pair of pants on her in her life, and we went camping to Georgetown, and we had a campfire, and put a pair of pants on her. And she was 88 or oh yeah. They're just, like I said, well, like I said, when I started, I love my Irish heritage, and I always wanted to go back, and if I had not asked for them addresses when I was about 12, no one would ever know where the family was. Then my brother Mick went visited. My brother Jack was back, I don't know, at least twice or more. Mm-hmm. And my nephew, like, went back, he loved it, he moved there, you know, yes. So we had all those addresses, and then they found us, and they were able to come here. So yeah, because a lot of have you ever seen the book The Parish of Our Groom?
Yes.
Well, I have that book, and half of the people in Butte are in there, I swear. Yeah. When I was there in '70, I bought that book.
Well, my mother was from West Cork, but she was from outside Skibbereen.
Oh.
I feel the same when I come to Butte. It's like every person you meet is like somebody you meet.
Yeah. Well, a lady that was here a while back, they put on a play up at the Montana Tech, I think. Her and her husband, but I think she was from right across the road from my mother's place, I think, the way I talked to her. I can't... Rita Capra is where my mother's house was. It's called Rita Capra.
Rita Capra.
It's right as you come up to our group. It's 7 miles outside of Castletown, and then you go off to the left there, and it's right. And that is the same road that goes, I think, up to the Kilcatherine Cemetery.
Right.
Yeah. Could I make you a cup of tea or something?
Oh, I'd love a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Or would you rather have coffee?